let's start with our top story tonight. A shocking story that's really left all of us stunned. If you're in Delhi NCR region, that this will surely disturb you. A 5-year-old boy in Noida had to undergo tonsil and adenoid surgery just to breathe. His parents, Sakshi and Sachin, say that Delhi NCR's polluted air is all to blame. The reason to why he was forced to surgically remove his tonsils is because he was breathing polluted air. The boy's parents now blaming Delhi pollution for this struggle. In fact, the boy we hear struggled extensively with allergies, with blocked nose, breathing trouble. Doctors told them that a surgery was the only way out. And it seems like, according to the parents, Delhi pollution worsened the situation for him to such an extent where this was only the last resort. A child needing surgery because of the air around him isn't clean. Now, remember, this isn't rare anymore. Delhi is looking at many such cases that's now coming to light. Delhi NCR has been stuck in the very poor to severe category of air pollution. This zone of 300 to 400, or much more sometimes. But instead of, in fact, tightening the controls here, the Commission for Air Quality Management has decided to lift GRAP IV restrictions in the city. In fact, according the decision was made because they believe, the pollution control authorities and the government believes, that severe category, now Delhi pollution is still better than what it was a few weeks ago when it was severe category, that was in the 400 range. Pollution has now dropped to the very poor category, which is in 300 range. So therefore, the severe GRAP IV restrictions need not be in place, which means non-essential construction, etc., that was curbed has now been lifted. Now, this has also led to a lot of outrage because people in Delhi say that this very poor to severe category pollution difference is really not much. It's still very bad. It's hazardous, as we see here clearly, for people to breathe. Severe measures that are meant for emergency situations are still not being used. The question is why? Now, remember, Mumbai, on the other hand, which is a city that once had better air than Delhi, today also is looking at high pollution levels. And Mumbai was quick enough to impose GRAP IV restrictions, a very severe category restriction that's imposed in Mumbai right now. Mumbai's air quality at this point is hovering between 200 to 300, which is also dangerous. The difference is that Mumbai has decided to impose GRAP IV in multiple areas. Construction in Mumbai has stopped, dust, heavy work, all halted. Polluting units have been shut down in Mumbai. Over 50 construction sites have been given notices as well. But meanwhile, hospitals are reporting a rise in breathing problems, especially among kids. Allergies, sinus issues, asthma, all going up. This is no longer about pollution levels on a screen. This is about children who are being pushed to hospitals and even operation theatres, with this classic example coming from Noida. Tragic situation there. I would like to go into our guests who are joining us for a little more insights into how severe this could be for a boy to undergo a tonsil surgery, the family blaming pollution levels in Delhi. Could there be a connection? Let's start with Sanjeev Bagai, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Nephron Clinic, who gives us a little sense of what this story is all about. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, if you could please take it away for us. The boy needed surgery to remove his tonsils. Family members say pollution is the reason. Could there be an absolute connect between the two?
Good evening. I think this is truly a catastrophic situation, not only in Delhi NCR, but in many other places, pan-India, especially in northern India. Now, when you talk in terms of AQI, very often we pick up one particular line item, which we call as particulate matter 2.5. But let me remind the viewers that that's just one amongst the many co-pollutants, and the others are equally harmful, if not more, which includes carcinogens, volatile gases, methane, benzene. They contain heavy metals, particulate matter of micro nano plastics. They all cause body damage in organs inside acute phase, mid phase, and long-term phase. With regards to this child, it's important to understand that children are more vulnerable than adults because the immune system and the respiratory system is not fully matured and developed as adults. Point number two is that kids' respiratory rate is 2 times faster than adults. Therefore, they breathe in twice more pollutants every minute as compared to adults. Also, children are exposed in the early morning hours going to school, where the relative humidity is high, and they tend to inhale a lot more at the densest part of relative humidity and the severe cold. which enhances the AQI towards the real hazardous category. There are also reports to show that there is a 20% underreporting because of the hygroscopic nature of aggregation of the particles. So the particulate matter is actually a lot more than what is counted. We know that these things cause acute respiratory problems, including wheezing, asthma, bronchitis, even up to 29% increase incidence, tonsillitis, throat infections, ear infections, and so on. Just focusing on the respiratory part, in the case of continuous exposure of this nature, chronic infection sets in, the tonsils and adenoids can get definitely enlarged and inflamed, and the breathing difficulty sets in, especially in smaller children. And really, when you're left with no option, routinely, we don't do tonsillectomy, but when we're left with no option, we have to subject a child to this surgical procedure. These are largely avoidable conditions. The way we are looking at GRAP 3 to GRAP 4 is skewed. We need to revise our criteria for GRAP. That means any AQI more than 150 at least, or going up to 200, there should be restrictions. There is no compliance with regards to the builders and real developers. There is no compliance of controlling the road dust or the emissions. There is no digital control of traffic. There is no control on the emissions which are coming from the pollutant industries and the thermal plants, and of course the Parali fire farm burning in Haryana and Punjab. We need a very, very strict action plan, not for this season. This season we are already ruined, but for the coming years, we need a strict plan with deliverables as results, and we can achieve it provided most of the governments in the nearing states, that's Haryana, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, and others, sit together, have a separate task force which involves doctors, scientists, environmentalists, who can actually guide the way forward. We need a law which is strict. We need implementation which is swift and punish the people who are polluting the environment.
Right. Right. Let's also bring in our guests who are with us at this point, or pollution experts. Dr. Gufran Beg, Chairperson NIS and founder of Project Director Safar. Dr. Gufran, here we're looking at Mumbai. We hear imposing GRAP 4. In the latest information that I have, my team has just sent me some information that Mumbai has now lifted GRAP 4, but they put it briefly until pollution levels were curbed. So all non-essential construction was stopped, polluting vehicles strictly were filtered, the restrictions were quite harsh, and Mumbai has done it despite being a coastal area where ideally pollution would move past quicker. Delhi is landlocked. It's a place where we've been suffering for nearly 2 decades. I don't expect anybody to come and wave a magic wand, but something should have been done so far. Why have the Delhi government and the Pollution Control Board lifted GRAP 3?
See, I think we need a complete overhaul of the guidelines, which there are a lot of loopholes which is keeping a public as the government all in a very different, in a different platform. For example, as you mentioned already, that as per the GRAPE, whatever it has been listed out, it is true that GRAPE 4 comes when it becomes a severe plus. Yani ki, for example, AQI has to go 400 plus. But so whatever Delhi CAQM is doing, they are doing as per the guidelines what we are having. But the problem is that for that you need to have a correct air quality index, which for which these guidelines are made of, and we do not know still that the geographical coverage of the the stations which are made, whether they are providing AQI as a very poor, which is supposed to be severe, or other way around, because 4 or 5 stations getting into highly greener zone, averaging out all the toxicity of that particular thing. So you know that happens. Mumbai, this problem is one much more severe. Now, this is very good. In fact, I personally feel very happy that when the GRAPE 4 or GRAPE 3 has been imposed in that one, basically last time judiciary has told about this particular thing, and then it has happened. But then the point here is that GRAPE guidelines is not different what is there in Mumbai or something. Only GRAPE guidelines exist in Delhi NCR region on those, and then people are doing this. So under that, whatever the readings you are seeing, based on that, it should not have been. It is very good step that GRAP 4 has gone into that. But I will add one more point here is that the kind of a air quality index which is being shown and what is visible in Mumbai is a huge amount of discrepancies, and there is a lot of confusion with the people. And that is the reason that in my op-ed I have mentioned this thing that the stations which should be in a different micro environment should be an average of that, should be the realistic air quality index. There are some areas like Devnar or
No,
those are showing very poor and severe air quality, whereas some areas which is showing only the good, average becomes moderate or poor. You were asking something.
Dr. Gurfan, my limited question here is why is policy only focused around emergency restrictions rather than a little long-term preventive measure? GRAP 3 being lifted so quickly, it was implemented and lifted also very quickly. What's the difference also between severe and very poor? There is a marginal difference, but for us while breathing, there's really no difference. It's as bad.
Obviously, but then the guidelines, that is why I told that guidelines need to be updated. It need to be come very close to the reality. And but then the solution wise, I will tell you that there are two measures, long-term measures has to come. There is a long-term planning has to happen, but then even in the emergency response which is happening, there also I disagree with that, because so far even the CAQM is putting a restriction in Delhi capital territory. There should be airshed approach. So unless you do all those restrictions, all those guidelines implemented in a true sense in complete airshed, which involves some of the parts of surrounding 6 more states, then only you will see the difference. That is why you are not seeing. First point. Second point is that this sprinkling of water and all, that will decrease the PM10, bigger particles. Our major problem with the health wise and everything wise is a smaller particle, PM2.5, even less than that. They are much more harmful. Everybody we talk about it, but then in CPCB, the guideline says all those 20%, 30%, 40% reduction measuring scale is PM10, not PM2.5. And that is where the problem is, that 20 to 25%, not more than 20%, is a contribution of the dust which you are dealing. So you are basically targeting PM10, not PM2.5 properly. So the source for PM2.5 measure is a transport sector, diesel, petrol, heavy duty vehicle coming within the city as well as surrounding region in a airshed. So in a short term also, the measure should cover airshed, otherwise this will be exercise in futile.
Yeah. Before I come to Professor Soumitra Mukherjee, who is the director of NEER, also joining us, a quick one from our Dr. Sanjeev Bagai. Sir, do you believe that these complications are lifelong? From what I see here, once it starts off, it takes a long time for children, especially if they're diagnosed with sinusitis or asthma. We hear now even arthritis being linked to pollution. Is this basically long-term damage that will take many, many years for it to fix, or even not, maybe?
This is really the crux of the problem. The true picture is that it is going to affect not this generation, but many generations. So you're looking at decades of damage in subsequent generations. The reason is, even 1 year preconception, that means before a young girl gets pregnant and she's exposed to this kind of pollutant, 1 year before she conceives, the damage already has set in. The babies which are growing as fetuses, as an unborn fetus, is having DNA damage. That means your chromosomes are being harmed because of recurrent breakages. We're seeing more number of genetic disorders, more number of cancers, more number of fixed cardiorespiratory problems, structural abnormalities in children, which includes kidneys, congenital heart defects, congenital limb defects, skin defects, and so on. So it is extremely important that we focus on controlling this as a strict measure. We know that every 22 units of AQI increase is equivalent to smoking one cigarette. That means when your AQI is in the range of 500, 600, 700, and sometimes even more, in a period of 5 months, a Delhiite is smoking 8,000 to 9,000 cigarettes per season. If that is not going to kill you, I don't know what is going to kill you. We are now causing damage to the next generation in which children are going to be born with defects. Young children are going to grow up with congenital abnormalities. We are seeing increase in cancers. We're seeing increase in lung disease, brain
Hello, hello.
disease, leukemia, hemoglobin going down, stunted growth of children and adolescents. So overall, in a picture of the next few decades, we'll see a sicker, stunted, and neurologically damaged population. We are losing 7 lakh crores per year in trying to treat the damage because of pollution. I can bet my last buck it is cheaper to curb the pollution than to treat the complications. Over to you.
Yeah. No, this is heart wrenching to see a family really, you know, at this point struggle with your son who is so young and has to basically surgically remove his tonsillitis, and they're directly blaming Delhi's pollution levels. Imagine if a child like that, ideally supposed to be healthy, has to be operated upon because of such severe pollution. I can only wonder what the plight of many senior citizens are in the Delhi NCR region. Professor Soumitra also joins us. Ms. Soumitra, pollution levels is above right now. We're drowning in pollution in Delhi. Would you be able to tell us if the reason to why Delhi has decided to lift GRAP 3 while places like Mumbai are enforcing stricter rules like GRAP 4? Tell us a little more on what's stopping the Delhi government or the pollution authorities to enforce these rules more effectively. They're doing brief measures they implement and then they withdraw. They're doing it, they're toggling between a few weeks. Shouldn't there be more consistent measures instead of doing it in spurts?
See that first of all, you have to see the crux of the problem. The problem is that there are definitely PM 2.5 and PM 10. These are the particle and particulate materials which are in the air, and every year, everyone knows that it will happen. But even though there is no precautionary measures are taken in advance, so the main culprit is the moisture in the atmosphere as well as the moisture in the soil. And at the same time, when we are talking about that emission of the vehicular emission, but at the same time, we should think about the friction of the tire. You see, the friction of the tire, it also generates lots of particle and particulate materials. So the condition of the tire also needed to be monitored, and at the same time, the moisture content of the soil, the ground, as well as in the air. See, there are lots of modern techniques which are available, like SMOS satellite, by which we can measure the soil moisture as well as the atmospheric moisture content by using the microwave sensor. So in advance, it has to be done, and it is doable. There are lots of scientific manpower is available in our country who can do. Even ISRO can also monitor these things. And at the same time, there are different state level scientific organizations. They should be empowered to do all this monitoring in advance. So then we all are very fond of telling about the problem, but there should be some solution. There is two solutions, that one is short term and another is long term. Short term immediate solution is the spreading the water sprinkler. So artificial rain was failed, it was not successful. Then there should be some device through which the atmosphere should be in a state of sufficient moisture. Then only that the ground also should be sufficiently wet, so that there will be a dramatical reduction in this situation. And at the same time, there is a long-term situation. Is the only solution is the mandatory rainwater harvesting, not only in Delhi, but in all the states. Because that when the water level increases, it will improve the soil moisture, it will improve the health of the vegetation. So whatever our problems, that is actually imbibed due to our wrong practices. And it is doable, short term as well as long term.
I just want to ask any one of you who could tell me, are we underestimating indoor pollution? We think that if we
Exactly.
are going to be
You see,
seated
indoor,
indoors
indoor
and
pollution
turn
is
the,
equally dangerous because
air freshener on.
no, see that there is a problem that everyone is now going to buy the air purifier. But can you think that only 1% of the population can afford to buy the air purifier? All cannot. So in the government offices, you will find the air purifier. The people who are marginally above the poverty level, they also can afford somehow. But what about those people who cannot buy air purifier? We have to think about them. Then automatically the problem will be solved. You see, air purifier is not the solution. Indoor, you have to seal.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
how many people can afford to seal the whole house? If they are living in a one room apartment
Correct.
or 2 room apartment, how it is possible to seal the
And
whole house?
Yeah,
moreover, it is not only the money,
correct.
but
You know,
how many
final word, if I can. Correct. Correct. I agree with you, sir. A final word, as I'm short on time here. I asked Mr. Sanjeev Bagai, Doctor, the boy who had to get his tonsillitis removed, is it a one-off case, or are we seeing more cases of children coming with terrible breathing difficulty? And a little more on the parents who are now blaming Delhi's pollution. Do you believe they can even sue the government? If at all that's the case, can they really connect pollution with tonsillitis being removed entirely? If a little clarity from you on that, and about indoor pollution as well, please.
Yeah, so indoor air pollution is well known. It's very often not spoken of. It's a host of factors which include the environmental relative humidity, the contents in the house, the open windows and doors which normally people tend to keep. Air purifier helps, but only transiently and for a limited uh, given space in one room. With regards the publications internationally and with Indian data, there is a direct link between all body organs, including the throat and the tonsils, with air pollution. With regards anyone suing the government, I'm not a legal expert, but if India with this government can come over and overcome the catastrophic pandemic, I'm absolutely sure that this government can tackle air pollution. We need a strong will, we need an iron hand to implement, and we need a robust, at least 4 to 5 year plan. It is not going to happen overnight. This pollution is not going to disappear in a year. We need a comprehensive roadmap with deliverable targets to be monitored every quarter and make it public so that the people know where we are. We know that this is going to cause long-term damage. I've
Yeah,
mentioned about
yeah,
cancers,
yeah.
respiratory, cardiac, neurological damage, dementias, Alzheimer's, Parkinsonism, kidney cancers, liver cancers. So we need to take an action and action now.
A final word, if I can ask you on any 3 quick measures we can take if we are living in this furnace, what can we do without a choice?
I think most important is to control road dust, including the construction norms being implemented strictly. Point number 2, we need much better control of the traffic. The vehicular emissions with vendors on each side with double and triple parking is going to cause stagnation of the cars, and that's why more emission in a given small area. Point number 3, all farm fires have to stop. This is a complete ridiculous mockery which we made of our health. And lastly, most importantly, all polluting units, which is especially the hydroelectric powers or the coal powers, have to move out of Delhi to give Delhi some breather. Article 21, we need air, we must live.
Absolutely. Very well said. Thank you very much. I really appreciate Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Dr. Gurfan Beg, and Professor Soumitra Mukherjee for joining us on this much needed issue. It's a health emergency. We're really hoping the agencies wake up.